Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome back to the podcast. Let me ask you, ladies, there are 3 months left to 2024. What? Can you believe it? So, knowing that, where are you at with your health and wellness goals for 2024? Now, if you answered, I'm doing great, I'm right on track, things are going well, what I want to say to you is keep going, my friend. That is terrific, fantastic. And for those of you who said, they're taking a back seat, I'm really not working on them, right, not at the moment, what I want to say to you is that this podcast hopefully will help you. Because what I want to talk about on today's podcast is really getting better at mastering ourselves. So that's self-mastery, carrying out greater self-discipline in the areas that matter most to us. And why I wanted to talk about this topic today is we are in that final quarter of the year. Not only that, we are in the quarter of the year where I will tell you, most people lose sight of their goals. We've got the holidays coming that bring stress. For a lot of other people I've been talking to in some of the communities I've been hanging out in, I've been having retreats at my house, women's groups at my house. I've been going to other retreats, hanging out at wellness symposiums, and the overall feeling I'm hearing out there is stress, anxiety, overwhelm, and even depression. People are feeling hopeless. They're feeling not optimistic about the future. They're getting stressed about the holidays. They're stressed about their jobs. They're stressed about their kids. There's just a lot going on. And when we look at the statistics, that final quarter of the year is when most people gain a lot of weight, right? It's between that Thanksgiving and Christmas time, that 6 weeks, people gain between 5 to 10 pounds in that time frame. And that wouldn't be so bad if we could take it off the following year. But what we know about the statistics is that a lot of those people, the majority of those people actually don't wind up losing that weight, right? It just stays on their body. And the reason I mention this is not to be depressing, but really to realize what happens and when it happens so that we are more empowered to take a different approach, especially this time of year. And that's why I wanted to release this podcast right now, is so that we can arm ourselves and protect ourselves so we don't set ourselves up for more disappointment, more disease, more weight gain, because we know that the downstream effects of that can lead to more metabolic dysfunction, increase in diabetes, cancers, heart disease, and yada, yada, yada. So I really want us to armor up, right? To really take it seriously, particularly this quarter of the year. Now, I know we all get excited at the beginning of the year. Yes, I love that excitement too. Yes, I love to set New Year's resolutions and all that. But those resolutions and stuff will be there and we'll get that energy when it comes. But I don't want to lose out on the opportunity right in front of us now. And if we can prevent the weight gain, if we could do things that are going to improve our self-improvement and our self-mastery and our self-discipline now, then that sets us up to even have greater achievements when the new year comes. So when it comes to increasing self-discipline, I really want to look at this from two perspectives. So some people think of self-discipline as just go do it, just get it done, put it on the calendar, cross it off, boom, right? And I love that energy. And you need that energy to be doing this goal, but that's not the only energy you need. And a lot of times that's considered masculine energy, right? Just get it done. It's the wagging finger, get in the gym, lose the weight, do the thing, right? And that's kind of like that Nike symbol, just do it. Now, while that's empowering sometimes, I find that for many women I work with, that could feel like heavy. That could feel like shaming. That could feel like too much. And it's not the right energy that they are needing, particularly if they haven't been doing a lot right now. So if they've gotten distracted or off their goals and they just tell themselves with a wagging finger, like, let's do it, let's get it done, just do it. They might be too depressed or too sad or too stuck or procrastinating too long that energy is not the right energy to get them moving. So, what I want to offer with this podcast is we're bringing in that energy, but we're also bringing in feminine energy. We're also bringing in flow to that. We're also bringing in how to pivot and move and shift to what our body needs. And when we bring in both, it's a beautiful blend to get us moving and get us unstuck. And then we realize how we can use both of those types of energy to keep propelling us forward, to keep improving on self mastery. And that's what we're going to get into today. So, when we focus on things out of our control, things out there in the world, things that are happening that we're not happy about, but we can't control them. And if we focus on those things we can't control, guess what happens? We start feeling out of control. So, when we focus on things that we can't control, we're going to start feeling out of control. That's the way it goes. So I want you to notice that parallel, that when we focus on the things we can't control, we feel out of control. And when we feel out of control, that invites in uncertainty, self-doubt, I don't know, depression, anxiety, all the things. So just notice if that's energy you're feeling. And notice if it's you're focusing on things out of your control, because you will feel out of control. The body feels safe when it feels more in control. The body feels at peace when it focuses on things it can control. The body wants to feel safe and comforted. And when it doesn't, it may look to substances outside of itself to feel safe and comforted. It may feel safe and comforted by an alcoholic beverage. It may feel safe and comforted by an extra cookie or cake at the end of dinner, right? And those dopamine hits, that's when the brain gets, now I feel safe. Now I feel comforted. Now alcohol is my friend. Food is my friend, right? And we begin that relationship and it begins, and then we become dependent on it to feel safe and secure. And what I want to do is use your body as a place of safety and security so you don't need these things outside of it, and that you learn to master yourself. So think of where you're at and look at how the tips that I'm going to share with you now are really going to help you with the self-mastery. Now, before we get into the steps that I have and the tips, I want to talk about, first of all, where I see some people go. Before they hear the tips and the stuff, they think, oh, you know what? I'm just going to ignore that stress. I'm going to just ignore that depression. I'm just going to ignore that I'm afraid or feeling fearful. I'm just going to push it aside and keep doing my to-do list. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm saying if we don't address it, we may never be able to get through it. So for some people, I'm finding that if they are avoiding or ignoring, that it keeps them stuck longer. So I want to use an example outside of overeating and overdrinking and about ignoring something. Just think if your bills are coming in and you don't open the mail, you don't open the email or however they're coming in, and you don't look at them. You just ignore them. Do the bills go away on their own? No. Do they get paid on their own? No. Does the problem get worse? Oftentimes, yes. So I wanted to pull in an example that is different than maybe something you're going through, because sometimes when we're in it, we can't see it. Like, yeah, I understand you, Sherry. Yeah, it makes logical sense, but I feel still stuck. And I get that a lot. And that's fine. But when you step outside and see it in another context, that's when you get I see it now. I see how I've been doing that. I've been seeing how I'm sticking my head in the sand and not really wanting to address the problem of the weight gain, or not willing to address the problem of over drinking, and how I'm just waiting for it to kind of disappear on its own. And that's a great wish. Just understand that that wish really never gets answered, because what we ignore oftentimes just grows. I was once working with a client who knew she had to have this difficult conversation, and she just kept avoiding it. She goes, maybe it'll just go away. Maybe this person will just come around and have the conversation or the aha moment, and they'll change on their own. Maybe they'll want what I want, and this person has never wanted what this client has wanted. So I'm like, well, I'm not sure that strategy is going to work. And in the meantime, by not having this difficult conversation, by avoiding it, She kept stewing and brewing and stewing and brewing. And guess what? She started drinking more. And guess what? She stopped exercising. She didn't even want to exercise. It wasn't even important to her. She didn't care that she was gaining weight. She did care, but she didn't care. She was just waiting for this conversation to magically take place. And it wasn't. And so it was eating at her. It was eating at her so much that she wanted to drown it with alcohol and she wanted to drown it with food. Once she had the conversation, guess what happened? It was that one moment that shifted everything, right? It shifted how she fed herself. It shifted her exercise regimen. She started up at it again, and she didn't want to overdrink, right? Because the pain was so intense and in her body. And by not addressing it at the root cause, by having the conversation, she was just numbing and avoiding and numbing and avoiding and numbing. And so I just want to show you that numbing and avoiding is not going to really address what you're really wanting, which is relief. You're really wanting to feel better and relief. And you're not going to get that relief with alcohol. You're going to keep needing more and wanting more and wanting more. So avoiding it doesn't make it go away. I was recently talking with a friend of mine. She's like, this weight gain just came out of nowhere. I'm not eating any different. I'm actually walking more. I'm doing more conscious eating with my weight. But geez, I went up a size, and she was just trying on clothes in my living room. And she's like, I'm just so aggravated. And I said, I hear you. I hear you. But as our bodies change, we have to change, because they're requiring different care now that we're in menopause and perimenopause. And that shift can bring weight gain for some people. However, you can get rid of it. Like, I just want you to know you can get rid of it. And she's like, gosh, I just want to get rid of it. Yeah. So let's work towards getting rid of it, because it's so important, right? It's a health goal. It's how we feel. It's how we move. And if we could get rid of it, let's get rid of it. Not living with the problem if we can get rid of it. And now I want to talk about self-mastery, because it's important if we're wanting to get different results that we show up differently, right? And when we're talking about self-mastery, it's about self-discipline. So as Lou Holtz has famously stated, without self-discipline, success is impossible, period. Success is impossible, right? So I want you to be successful. I want you to be successful on those health and wellness goals. And so let's talk about ways where you can improve your self-discipline and your self-mastery. So first and foremost, now, I want to tell you, this is powerful. When you do step number 1, it can radically change how you feel and experience yourself. So step number 1 is to get in touch with your body. Oh my goodness. This can be challenging for some of my high achievers. These women that I work with, they have these strong minds and they just want to problem solve with their minds. And that's great when it works. But sometimes it's not going to work because your body has overridden your mind. And what do I mean by that? If we are stressed out all the time, how do you feel when you're stressed out? Right? You're in fight or flight mode, or sometimes freeze. You might be so stressed out that you're so overwhelmed that what do? Nothing. You freeze. You just want to sit on the couch, watch TV, or numb out, scrolling, doing something way different than what you should be doing or you tell yourself you should be doing. So when you're in this state of stress, it's not bad because it's designed to keep the body alive. And of course, we don't want to die. So staying alive is amazing. However, if we're in this state too long, it's really going to tax us. It's going to cause adrenal fatigue. We're going to get worn down. We're going to have it be impossible to lose weight, particularly as we go through midlife and beyond, because our hormones change and our sensitivity to those hormones changes, particularly cortisol. And so what we want to make sure is that we get in touch with our bodies so our bodies feel safe enough to relax. And so we're not needing the thing outside of us to give us comfort, security, and relaxation. We can learn to do it on our own. But that, of course, means we're getting in touch with what's going on in our body and being able to identify it so that we can transform it. So for some women, they're not even understanding how they're feeling. They're so disconnected with their body because they've just neglected their body for so long. And so this is something I train women to really get in contact with. Especially me, when I was drinking all the time, I didn't know how to get in contact with my body. I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea what that meant. I think I knew what it meant, but I was up here. I wasn't down here. So getting in touch with your body so that you can feel the energy to transform it. So some women I work with, the reason they get so stressed out is because it's a trauma response from the past. Maybe somebody at work asks them to do something and that it brings them back to an earlier time when their mother or their father or somebody else yelled at them or said something in the same way and they reacted, and their body just has this response because it kept them safe and alive then, but now they're overreacting now. And so we have to rewire that trauma response so it doesn't keep happening and keep triggering them so they keep doing these things that they don't want to be doing. And some women I feel when I work with them, they can't feel, so they have to learn how to experience that. Or it's like whenever I get in my body, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe. So I want to exit and just be up here in my head. And so they don't feel safe in their body. So it's about making that container be a place of safety, be a place of security. Because if you're feeling insecure, you're going to be constantly looking to the outside world to say, tell me I'm okay. Tell me I'm okay. Validate me. Give me compliments. Tell me I'm okay. And that gets exhausting for you, let alone the other people around you. It just gets exhausting for you because then you never feel at ease with yourself. And then you constantly are out there like trying to find your validation. For some people, they feel that they don't deserve things. They don't deserve to look better or lose the weight or have the life that they have. And so they have to work with feelings of self-worth, self-love, self-acceptance. And so we do that kind of work to make the body feel loving, accepting of where they're at so that they can get the change that they want. Because if you're pushing away who you are now, it's harder to get where you want to go because it's like a form of rejection and ignoring what's going on and then just thinking you can just jump into the next phase of you. But it's a process. It's an evolution, right? Like if you want to be 10 pounds lighter, you first have to get 2 pounds lighter and 3 pounds lighter and 5 pounds lighter. Like you just don't go and wake up overnight and are 10 pounds lighter. It's an evolution. It's harder to do that process if you're hating it the whole time. So dropping into your body and making it safe, peaceful, deserving, loving, worthy that you already are, it's recognizing and getting the brain on board with that. And that takes dropping into your body. It's not just a mental exercise. It takes dropping into your body. So I love when we're able to do that work because it's at the cellular, deeper level so that you can get the transformation that you're looking for. So getting in touch with your body so that you can change that stress response. You can change that level of depression. You can change how you're feeling so you can start to feel differently. And most people will choose to feel better, obviously. The second part is taking a look at your actions. So like, okay, I can do the first part. I kind of get it. You may need help with a coach to do that or do some embodiment work. I recommend that highly for super strong-minded women, really CEO kind of women, right? Like they're managing their household, they're managing things at work, they're keeping it all together, but something's missing on the inside. And that's how they express it. Something is missing on the inside. Like I'm doing all the things, but something is missing. So embodiment work really helps. Number 2, taking a look at your actions. I think this is a beautiful time of reflection because what do our actions tell us? Our actions tell us what's important to us. Our actions tell us what we're committed to. Our actions tell us what our priorities are. I'm taking the action of recording this podcast. Why? It's a priority and it's important to me, right? If I wasn't doing that, maybe my priorities changed. Maybe my time commitment has to go elsewhere. And so realizing what the actions we're taking will tell us what we're prioritizing. So when I was taking the action of drinking a lot, meaning at night more than I wanted, it's like telling me something that I really wasn't prioritizing my health. And what I hear from a lot of women is I want to help myself prioritize my health. Yes, well, let's go for it, right? And let's look at your actions where you are doing that and what actions don't support that. And that way we can tell what you're committed to and what you aren't committed to. And what you're not committed to, let's work on that. So whether it's, doing this with alcohol, whether it's doing this with your weight, whatever it is your health goal is, those are the big common two I hear with the women I work with. So those are the common ones I bring up, but it could be anything, wanting to improve my cholesterol numbers, wanting to eat healthier because I feel better and I'm less bloated. It could be any of those metrics, but really looking at what are your actions saying, because that will tell us what we are committed to. Now, here's some questions you may want to be asking in this step. As you look at your actions, what is a priority for you? For some women, they're like, it's my family, and the family always comes first. They come last all the time. Now, we don't have to put you first all the time and your family last. That's like all or nothing thinking, right? You have to go exactly 180. But we can make minor shifts and we can just do a 30-degree turn where you come first, maybe 3 days a week, right? And build that in because it could feel scary to say you're going to be first now, right? We want to ease the brain into it or ease the body into it because if the body has fear around that, it's not going to sustain it. So again, it's about making it safe and you feeling secure in that so that you're able to carry out the action. So, where do you need help making something a priority? What steps would you need to take to make it a priority? And here's a good one. Where do you get stuck? I love that because it just tells us where the rub is. And for a lot of us, we get stuck in our heads. So stuck in our heads, right? It's not necessarily action, it's in the head, right? And so if we're getting stuck in our heads, we're not going to be able to take the action because we have to think about it first to be able to do it. So some of us are just wishers and dreamers. But what makes us more effective is we wish and we dream and then we go do, right? So that's going to make it more effective. But if we never get to the doing phase, we know that we're stuck somewhere. And that's why I really love this work around self-discipline and why we're doing it this month inside Epic You. For the whole month, we're focusing on how to improve and master your self-discipline around alcohol because it's important. It matters, right? If you are not feeling in control, what's going to be in control? The alcohol, right? We want to make sure that you are staying in control and how to do tools and techniques to improve your self-mastery. Self-discipline, here's a quote I put inside the workbook that I wanted to share, is that self-discipline is the mind's ability to govern the body's actions, right? We just talked about that. That's all that self-discipline is, oh, I'm thinking it and I want to do it, and then you go do it. Now, number 3 is becoming a leader. Becoming a leader in your life. Now, I talk about more of this inside the workbook and the video tutorial that you get on this. And then we come on calls and we talk about how to be a leader. You know, what's going well? Where do you need help? Right. And coach all over around that. To be a leader, this is the best definition I found on the internet. A leader is anyone who influences the thinking, actions, or development of another human being. Maybe you listen to podcasts. Maybe you listen to different leaders. Maybe you come to this podcast and listen to me as a leader because I'm influencing your thinking and your actions. I'm a leader in my household. I'm influencing the actions of my daughter, the actions of my husband, and their thinking. We're all leaders. We are all leaders. Notice what you're leading on. You could be leading somebody to watch the Netflix series you're binging on and you're talking about it because it's so amazing. Or maybe you're leading somebody to eat at this amazing restaurant. You had this great food or great service and you're complimenting them and telling somebody about them. And you're like, oh, putting thoughts in their head and leading them that they might want to try this restaurant. You're influencing others. So we're leading no matter what. But are you leading on the things that you want to be leading on the things that really matter most to you? I think of a leader as somebody who advocates for what they want, right? Like, hey, I want to be a woman who could take it or leave it. And I started talking to myself that way and I started living out that way. And then I started telling others I wanted to live that way, like self-advocating. And now I'm into like perimenopause and the weight gain that comes with that and helping myself prevent the weight gain and keeping it off and helping women who want the same thing. If they want to do that, I want to lead and guide them so that they can have the body that they love and enjoy for a long time. Plus make it strong. Now that we have sarcopenia, we know about that and the muscle loss that occurs, right? So I want to lead myself in this space. And then, of course, welcome any other woman who wants to be led in this space. And we come together with a common goal. So we are all leading. And I talk about in the workbook of 5 do's and 5 don'ts on how to use yourself as a leader and to make sure that you are improving your self-discipline and self-mastery rather than sabotaging it, right? Because it's important to know how to execute and what to do. And so we'd cover that. And I love applying these skills to alcohol. You can also apply them to other areas of your life. And that's what I think is such a great life skill. You could apply it to alcohol and you could take it out of context and put it to other areas. So they're life skills. Now, I want to offer that, in my opinion, leadership is more powerful than managing. So I've been intentional so far in my language on talking about how I'm not managing myself. I'm not managing self-discipline. I'm more of a leading self-discipline. It's a higher, more powerful energy. And I just want to use a few examples to see if this resonates more for you as it does for me. So when I think about managing, I'm thinking about like moving around chairs, managing chairs at a party. You're with a set of chairs and tables and you just manage them, right? You put them here, you put them there, you're managing it. When I say you are managing your life, how does that feel? When I say you are managing your calendar, how does that feel? I don't think it feels bad. I just think it's kind of a lower energy. Now, let me change that and say, okay, now how does this question feel? You are the leader of your life, the CEO of your life. How does that feel? Wow. I like want to perk up. I sit up. I'm like, wow, you're right. I am the leader of my life. I get to choose what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. Amazing. It's a higher vibration. It's a higher energy. It makes me feel more in control, more powerful. And when I'm saying powerful, I'm not meaning greed or the bad parts of power. I'm meaning like, wow, I actually have control over that. You're right. I am the leader of my life. Now, how does it feel when I say you are leading your time and you get to lead your energy? I'm like, wow, I never thought about that. Or I haven't thought about that in a while. You're right. I do get to manage my time and how I spend it. And I do get to manage the energy I bring. So to me, that's more inviting, it's more generative, and it's more powerful. And it also shows me how much control I have. And I think that when we are at uncertain times, when we are feeling depressed, when we are feeling less hope or less optimistic, I think these are powerful tools so that we don't spin out, so we don't sit there and sulk, so we don't sit there and go, why am I feeling so off? And we understand why the brain feels off, depending on what it's looking at and where it's looking for its reassurance, right? If we're looking for reassurance out there in the world, we might not really find it on this particular day. But when we can come and really use these tools, then we can feel more powerful, more in control, and actually do the things we want to be doing rather than procrastinating and ignoring them. So I invite you to be a leader in your life. It is such good energy. It feels good for you and it influences others around you. So when I show up as the leader in my life, and when I show up as the leader around alcohol, alcohol then can't make me cave because I'm leading myself. If I'm not showing up with that leadership, then I might cave or I might give in or I might make alcohol the leader of my life, right? And so skill set, totally a skill set. Again, if you're hearing this for the first time or you're new to me, you might be like, I get it, but I don't totally get it, right? Or I don't totally buy in. That's okay. I didn't get it like that overnight. I had to practice and practice and practice and practice. And then it started happening. And then I'm like, oh, I get it on a surface level. And then I kept doing it. And then I got it on a deeper level and got it on a deeper level. Ladies, I'll share with you right now, I'm at a point in my life where I don't know if I want to drink again. It's really not that appealing to me. Every time now I touch it, I feel differently. And it's not a great feeling for me. I used to have some, and it used to feel still a bit magical or a bit fun, but now I'm just to the point where it's really not serving me. And so I'm getting it yet on a deeper level and on a deeper level. So my journey took me a long time to get here, or maybe it didn't. Maybe it's short compared to other people. I don't know. But I just know my journey is my journey. And I just offer to you, keep doing the practice and your journey will be your journey. And you really can't compare it to other people's journey because you are unique. You know how your brain works. You know how your body feels. You know the tools that work and what tools don't. And so keep listening into that. And that's what I mean. Listen into your body. Your body has so much wisdom, which is amazing, amazing. And I think also an untapped resource for many, many people. So when you're being a leader, you're leading yourself. You're tapping into, I know it's working and I know it's not working. I actually just heard from a client from my first go round of Tone in 10. She's doing amazing, still has the weight loss, still has a toned body, still has great healthy habits that she has implemented into her life. But she reached out and she's like, I noticed my body's changing and doing this. And I've been using intermittent fasting this way, and now I'm feeling this. And so we had this conversation, and you're right, your body may change over the course of a year. And so if your body starts changing, listen to it, right? And so make the necessary tweaks. That is being a leader. And then finally, the fourth step, what I enjoy and what I'm finding is actually more important in my life now is that being in community of like-minded people. I want to be surrounded by people who are achieving and wanting the same out of life that I do. They want greater health, greater wellness, putting myself in those circles, surrounding myself with people that want to keep leveling up and want to keep learning. Because here's a quote that I got from Ken Blanchard, which I love. Learning is defined as a change in behavior. We haven't learned a thing until you take action and use it. You know, there might be times you could be a passive, just participant, but I really want to be in that active learning, which means I'm trying new things, I'm doing it, and I'm learning. I'm learning and I'm growing. And I want to be around other women who do this. And that's important to me. So we can compare and we can talk about our journeys. It feels different when I'm around people who aren't embracing that kind of lens and worldview, when they just want to talk about problems and not really learn and grow from them. We all have problems, and then it's how we manage them. So for me, it's like being in these circles where women understand each other. We understand our feelings. We understand how our bodies are working or changing in the moment and what we can do about it and share those. And when we come together and we're willing to be radically honest and fully vulnerable, we can learn from one another and we can lift each other up. I think that is so powerful. That's why I love to do retreats and in-person events now. And I'm loving that we can do that again and just really lifting up others, caring for others, loving on others, and then receiving that as well for myself. So women, we definitely need these healthy relationships where people understand what we are going through and we don't have to do it alone or in shame. Shame in my book is optional and shame just holds us back. So I just like to push shame aside and say, I'm here to learn and grow, as well as be vulnerable with what is going on for me. I'm super excited. Have an opportunity to work with a physician group who's maybe going to be giving collaboration where I will be able to help many of her patients in my Tone in 10 program because she's finding that she just doesn't have the time to go through and help build these healthy habits for women when it is in regards to their lifestyle medicine, because we're both proponents of it's about your daily habits that are going to give you your most optimal health, your most optimal wellness, and promote that longevity and vitality. So I'm super excited about this opportunity. So as I wrap up this podcast, I want to tell you that the benefits of self-mastery and more self-discipline from both the female and male energy is beautiful. And some of the benefits that come from that is that you get to be more in control. You actually keep going. You stay committed. You develop grit. You overcome procrastination and stagnation. You start achieving your goals. You go from wishing and dreaming to dreaming and doing. You have higher satisfaction and contentment in life. You don't rely on things outside of you. You know you have it within, and you start beginning to carry out your purpose. I think that is so powerful and so beautiful. And that is exactly the work we will be doing inside Epic You this month, if you want to join us. As I wrap up this podcast, I also want to say thank you for your time and listening. And if you found this podcast helpful, please share it with a friend. I'd be so grateful if you'd share this and really lift up another woman in your life. All right, my friends, so good to be with you, and I will see you next week.